I have to correct the record. I often start by saying I like to argue. That's not the right word. I like to debate.
Great. Okay. I will officially call to order the planning board meeting for Wednesday, February 11th. I am very happy to welcome Maddie Murphy Howarth as our new board member. Maddie's down at the end, wave at everybody so they can see you. We are very, very happy to have you aboard. Feel free to ask questions at any time, and we will look forward to many more meetings together. So welcome.
Yeah.
Chris, you know Maddie, I'm sure. Okay. Number 2 on the agenda is the capital improvement program for 2027 to 2031. Act on the consistency of the proposed capital improvement program with the new Shoreham Comprehensive Plan.
I thought the manager would be discussing this with us.
She's on Zoom. She's right up there.
Oh, okay, good.
So I'm going to turn it over to you, Amy, and let you walk us through it, and then we'll see if we have some questions.
Great, thank you. I apologize, Sosha, for not being there. It was my plan and I messed up my own schedule, but can everyone hear me?
Very
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Great. And would you like to go line by line, or would you like me to just field your questions, depending on how you want to spend your time?
I would like a line by line quick, not
Okay.
not an in-depth.
Okay.
Or if you want to do it by sections, building, then community planning, fire rescue, whatever, whichever way is easiest for you.
We'll go top to bottom, and I'll try to keep it pretty brief. Just in terms of introduction, you have each request listed, even if it was not carried forward for funding. The only things that you don't see on the page that were put forward by departments are things that really belong in the operating budget, and we'll see those over there when it's time. But every request has been documented, and you'll also see lines that may not have anything going forward, but we've done this work in recent years, and so it's sort of a catch up on where did those projects go. So top to bottom, emergency generator at Health Services is a great example. That generator was funded with a combination of Health Services and ARPA funds and installed about a year ago. There's additional work that needs to be done. It was not spec'd with a load bank, which helps maintain the longevity of the generator. And so we've proposed that addition here. There's a little bit more research being done between the generator installer and the town and Health Services about whether we can meet some of these loading needs in a different way, in which case it would come out. But at the moment, this is what everyone feels is necessary. Coast Guard Station, always a big topic of discussion. The estimate and current plan has to do with interior renovations. And the total for that scope of work is about $1.1 million. What we've presented here is spreading that across 3 years with the idea that we can do a floor a year. In some cases, it may be that we do all of the sheetrock at once, et cetera, but the general plan is to get all of that work done in terms of a full interior renovation down to the studs within the next 3 years. You'll see some work there this spring that's coming out of the 2026 budget, and that's going to be exterior shingling and painting on the north wall. When we did some exterior work on that last year, it was discovered that the sort of the sheathing and shingling wasn't sufficient to carry us forward. So that's being done now. And the only thing that will be left will be that interior work. We did have an architect do a structural review of the building, and the consensus is that we don't need to do any structural work. It's just the aesthetics. So.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
And much less expensive.
Yes.
Elevator replacement at the library, we all know is underway, so that's exciting. The next item there at the library is interior work. This, for the foreseeable future, is going to focus on HVAC in 2027. That includes adding ductwork to get better ventilation into two particular areas that doesn't currently have HVAC access. And we anticipate in future years doing things that continually need to be done in that building, carpeting, additional ventilation, additional HVAC infrastructure work. That's really the need right now as they try to maintain that facility. Dispatch center renovations was a 2025 item that's currently underway. The only thing that's left is the exterior bulletproof window, and we expect that to be installed this spring. As you remember, this was funded again through ARPA money, COVID infrastructure funds that came through to the town, and we expect that to be completed before the season. Everybody good? Okay. Moving on to beaches. The first there is sort of a placeholder for Gracie's Cove shoreline access. We've put this in occasionally for DEM grants. It is not in the current year's grant application. We let that focus entirely on the pickleball courts, but I expect that if and when we're successful on pickleball, we'll resurface Gracie's Cove as our DEM top priority. So it's sort of a placeholder here, acknowledging that that access still needs to be improved if and when we can secure funding for it. The next line down deals much more with the town beach facilities. Again, straddling that line between what's capital and what's maintenance. We know, given the age of the building at this point, we're a fair ways out from its last rehab, and so things like plumbing, decking, and soon roofing will need to be addressed. So every other year, we're putting a pot of dollars there, about $30,000, to deal with those issues, so that we're staying on top of them rather than waiting till they've failed to do basic replacements. Northlight is a little bit of an up in the air. The funding that we're showing for 27, 28, and 29 comes from the Orsted funding. We still need to go out to bid to secure these services, but Orsted is committed to 3 years of $125,000 each year for capital improvements at the Northlight. So we're working through scope of work and exactly what those dollars will go to, but it will include brick and mortar work. It will include planning for long-term facility maintenance. What's your maintenance plan going forward that can be sustained over the long term, and some initial planning money. The next item doesn't have a funding level put forward for 27, although we'll need one. I believe the comp plan RFQ is going out today, which means by the time we get to the beginning of the capital and operating budget process, we'll have a more accurate number to supplement the $60,000 that's in the 26 budget. So that's an underway figure. I'll pause there. Everybody okay?
Can I ask a quick question? I have questions too, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wondered, my first question, sorry, now that I said go ahead, I interrupted you. Sorry, it was a quick question. Thanks, Amy, for the quick intro line by line. Should we ask questions at the end? I've got questions piling up. Should we just ask questions as we go or at the end? What's better for you?
I defer to the chair.
Oh, suddenly I can't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you. You turn it.
I
Something went wrong.
I defer to the chair about how you want to structure
Okay,
this.
now you're all right. Don't move.
Don't
Okay, now ask you your question.
ask again. Can you hear me, Amy?
Yep.
Oh, great. And the chair, can you hear me? Margie?
Yeah, go ahead.
My question was, should we ask questions as we go or at the end?
Maybe do you want us to ask questions at the end of each page?
She deferred to you.
She deferred to you.
Oh, I do it at the end of each page before we forget our questions.
Okay, thanks.
Great, why don't we
There.
start-
Go ahead, Gail.
start now, yeah, before we move on to fire.
Yes. So any questions on the first couple of sections we've gone through?
I do, but
I
you
have-
want to go first, Gail?
I just have one quick
Okay,
question.
Gail, go first and then Mary.
You just have to pardon my ignorance because I'm forgetting how this works. But for instance, with the Northlight improvements, you indicated the money was coming from somewhere else. That's not going to be part of the town's budget then, correct?
Orsted.
Or we're not having to approve that necessarily because
Well-
it's not being funded by the town?
I think you do. I think we are not always successful, but we try to have the capital plan include all of those projects that are within the scope of the town's purview, regardless of what the funding source is. So when you look at the very last page, there's actually a breakdown of what some of the different funding mechanisms are.
Mhm.
It is not something the voters would approve when we consider the page by page budget at financial town meeting. But I think it's an important part of the discussion, particularly at the planning level.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Primarily because we want to make sure that all of this is compatible with the comprehensive plan. I believe the answer to that is yes, but we just sort of have to like bless it. Okay, Mary, you had a question?
Yeah, just Amy, thanks for this. Again, a few of the line item budget pieces sort of had the same question for me. Gracie's Cove, North Light, and the comp plan too. But Gracie's Cove and North Light, is there planning for long-term vulnerability in both of those locations due to climate change, sea level rise?
There's not explicitly.
And Coast Guard as well?
Yeah, there's not explicitly. We do have different funding that I know, Mary, you're familiar with, from Orsted that deals with resiliency for some of these town assets in a more broad way. That's
Mm.
over on the operating budget side.
Mm.
But that's the type of project we would expect that individual or that firm to be undertaking. At the same time, we're going to introduce something a little bit new into the capital planning process this year by sharing this document once the planning board has reviewed it with the resiliency committee. It's not a formal part of our capital plan, but to try to bring them into these conversations and understand the projects that are on the town's to-do list, so that we can get some of that input before we're actually putting a shovel in the ground.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Sosha?
Amy, what part of the budget deals with staffing? Is it operating?
That's operating.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Fire rescue.
Okay, fire rescue. In the current year, fiscal year 27, there's a proposal or a request from fire for a new engine. This is a replacement for engine 4. They do intend to dispose of the current engine 4, so it's a one-for-one swap. They've actually have this truck on order, and if the voters don't support the acquisition, there's no penalty, but they had a chance to put that order in pretty early without any downside, so they did that. But it'll become a bonding question that goes to the voters as part of the warrant. In the outer years, you can see Tanker 1 scheduled for replacement, and then Engine 2 further on down the line. We're finding the lead time for these is running about 24 months. So this is, that's part of the planning process as well.
Can I ask Amy?
Yep.
You said the lead time is 24 months. So if it's fiscal year 28, is that when the order gets put in?
That's part of the game. And
Okay.
that's, it depends. Like I said, on the one, the Engine 4, they had a chance to put in that order with no penalties, which was pretty
Okay.
unusual. So they
Yeah.
took it.
Okay.
If that opportunity came with some downside, then obviously we would not put that order in. We can't make a commitment that the voters haven't authorized.
And does this, I think, I'm sure when we get to later in the budget, but this is kind of like fleet maintenance. So like, are all of our towns assets as far as vehicles kind of on that schedule? Because I thought like back, like Sanborn made a schedule back in the day. Are we still kind of adhering to that a little bit? Or at all?
Some areas are better than others. We do not have the asset management software that Sam was using.
Okay.
That wasn't a tool that was carried forward past him. So it's not in such a formal way. Some areas like fire are really doing a great job at looking out at that 5 to even 10-year horizon and getting those schedules in place. Others are still a little bit more in the get a new one when we need to and run it till it dies
Right, yeah.
And you know, there's value to that. We all have Block Island cars that
Oh,
that
yes.
do that. So you know, it's a little department by department, but at the moment, and I think it's actually working pretty effectively.
Okay. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
I just remember like the fire department coming, oh, we need a new truck and then we need $1 million and we need it now. And I'm like, well, I'm glad to see things are on a schedule now, which is kind of,
Yeah, the upside to fire, or it was a little tricky in between, but they have much stricter regulations now about how long they can run an asset and still have it be sort of insurable and operable.
good.
And so that 20-year expiration on major fire equipment is pretty firm at this point. We can always keep an out-of-life vehicle as a backup. And we've been able to do that and we have done that, but it cannot be your primary. And so we now know that at 20 years, we need to be replacing that with a new piece of equipment.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Some of the other items under fire and rescue, the rescue vehicles and then equipment, those are a little bit up in the air. We've slotted them out, but the Rural Health Transformation Grant that some of you may be familiar with also put in requests for a significant amount of rescue equipment and a rescue vehicle. And so assuming that funding comes through, I do believe some of that equipment will be funded in that very first year. And it's likely that some of the rescue vehicles will also be funded, although maybe not in year one. And so we may be able to chip off some of those with some of these outside funding sources as well, which would be great. Public safety complex, another sort of big one that's up in the air. We have a placeholder number right now. We're out to bid, or going out to bid for, excuse me, architectural and design services to take that project further. I don't expect that we will have a final number for financial town meeting, but certainly we need to be talking about that as a major capital expense that people need to consider.
Is that expected to be in the same location as the one that's there now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving down fleet vehicles and equipment. On the highways line, the 800,000 shown for fiscal year 28, that's replacement of a sweeper. Again, that's a little bit contingent on how the town's relationship with the state DOT continues to evolve. But since it's not a this year question, we have a little bit of time to buy. The request from police was for 2 additional vehicles. We're going to carry forward funding for one in 27 and the second in 28. They have done some fundraising, which is why the 27 number is a little bit lower for that. Moving on to harbors. Sort of a placeholder again for a conceptual idea of expanding the Old Harbor West Dock. There's no active work being done on that, but it is still in the back of a lot of people's minds. So just keeping it on that list. Much more tangible Old Harbor utilities. We've been going through a multi-year replacement of the electrical pedestals, typically doing about 5 a year. The other thing we need to do in 27 is the dock lighting. So that is coming in at 40,000 for lighting replacements and the addition of some cameras down in the dock area.
Amy, the 40 is for cameras and lighting?
Yes, both. The next line there, Old Harbor Bulkhead. It does have a requested funding amount. This is the idea of reinforcing the South Dock in particular in order to facilitate the offload of particularly materials for town projects first, but also for other materials that may need to make their way to the island. This became something that we funded with ARPA money in terms of engineering. That's the 40,000 you see under 2025. And we do have an estimate now, which is honestly higher than what we were expecting for that work. we've sort of sent it back to see if it can be done for less and still achieve the same goals. 1.2 essentially to reinforce a section of that south dock to allow a direct offload to trucks and vehicles, as opposed to, I'm sure you've seen the long arm reach that needs to be done currently when road materials do come in. As we think about a major school construction and a major public safety construction, the coordination and delivery of materials is a big part of that, both in terms of cost and timing. When we can get things here, can we get them in the summer? Do we have to stockpile? So I'm not saying it's off the table. We're pursuing some outside funding as well for that, but that number did come in higher than we expected, and we don't have room for it in the current year. But it's still an active conversation. Visitor center, I don't have an update on. That's again sort of an ongoing conversation with the owners of that facility. I know people are frustrated by its current condition, but it is not our building to renovate, and so we continue to work with them to encourage those facilities to be upgraded. Moving over to New Harbor. Probably the most interesting one to talk about first is Sanpete Meadows roadway tables, racks, and outhauls. Doesn't have a funding line associated with it right now and an estimate of $25,000, but this may show up in the operating budget as well. There's an effort on the part of the Sanpete Meadows Committee and the Harbor Master to try to encourage public access at that site, get it used for some of the ideas for which it was acquired, particularly putting in some outhauls in that area. But we want to be careful not to do that in a way that undermines sort of the long-term development. So we're balancing that right now. And you may see it come up either as a last-minute addition on the operating side or as an item more formally next year. So that's more of a TBD discussion. But people don't want to see that property continually not accessed, even if we do a low impact use. The other thing we're working on in New Harbor is dredging of the inner channel. So we've done the preliminary engineering there, and the harbor master has reached out to some of the other owners and managers of the inner pond area to see if they want to collaborate, but to do some dredging of that access, particularly up to the boat ramp. It may go further in as well if other people are interested in participating.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Amy, is that basically, I mean, sorry, from the dinghy dock area to the boat ramp? Is that what you're talking about?
I think it has to go a little bit. We have some responsibility out in the channel area out to Paynes.
Okay,
But basically the channel from Paynes up to the boat ramp. And Kate is, like I said, reaching out to some of the other players to see if they would like to do additional work while we're there.
like around the corner, like into the Swenton and what's it?
Exactly.
Noel Champs, all right.
Yeah.
It definitely is a little shallow at the boat ramp.
Yes.
Do we get any help from either the state or federal government on that like we do at Old Harbor?
No, we don't.
Unfortunately,
Nope.
okay. I tell you what, let's see if there's any other questions on page 2 before Amy finishes up the bottom and goes on to page 3. I don't see any hands.
What's that?
Any questions on page 2 before she starts the fleet vessel and finishes that part up? We go on to page 3. Okay. All right, no questions? Okay, Amy, no questions.
Just on those last two, in terms of harbor's equipment and vessels, we are putting together right now a pretty major CVA grant request that will include a number of pumps. It will include this peristolic pump replacement, which is going on about 10 years old. And so we're going to try to secure a lot of that through the CVA program by putting in a pretty major request of them. The other thing that's always been on the radar, but is now creeping up into a higher priority, is a replacement of the Marine Patrol. So again, not at failure point yet, but it's becoming more and more urgent. The numbers that are shown there anticipate some grant matches. A brand new Marine Patrol at this point is running about 400,000. And so again, we're going to see what we can do to secure some outside funding for that. Technology, which is the next few lines there, doesn't have a lot of activity. Part of that is because a lot of the technology at this point is running through the operating budget. We don't have the major investments that we need to introduce new software, new technologies. The body-worn camera program, just as an update for those who don't know, is live. All of our sworn officers are wearing them. We were able to have some cost sharing with the state on that program. And so it hasn't actually flowed through our budget. We had some funds, and I think it was 24 that are still available to pay for our costs when they surface. I'm actually looking for an item that seems to have fallen off. Where did it go? We had an item. I'll have to find it and put it back on, which is dealing with radio repeaters. So those of you who may travel in the fire rescue space might be familiar with some of the challenges of having radio communication for some of the outer reaches of the island or down below the bluffs. That's a project that has been on our radar for a few years. There was funding, I think, in 23, 24 to pay for that project. The RFP is out now. We expect those responses on Friday. So again, that would address radio access, particularly around Southwest Point and down below the bluffs to make sure we have good communication around the island. We'll get that number back this week. And if we need to plug any additional funding into the program, you may see that pop up as well. Right now, I think the town has 50,000 set aside and the fire department has 80,000 that they've put towards this project. Moving down to Public Works. There was a request this year, it hasn't been funded yet, but for restoration of the Mansion Tower. So that's something they're working on in the background as something to consider. I will get more detail from that as it moves closer to execution. But sometimes it's nice to have these projects that are a little more historical in context instead of just hard assets and the things that we need, but actually doing some improvements on an area.
What is the Mansion Tower?
So all the Mansion Beach foundations from the
Okay.
mansion that they've been working hard to clear in recent years, they're ready to take that to the next step and do some restoration and rebuilding. I think there's also a hope that we may be able to secure some historic preservation grants around that project as well. So it comes with probably signage and some historical indicators and things like that.
Okay.
Oh, the next one. This has not been in front of the planning board, at least in recent years, but you may have picked up on it in some of the other conversations you follow. When we did the West Beach revetment project, we knew that it had a limited lifespan by virtue of struggling with nature. So we are now at the point where we're mandated by DEM and CRMC to take some restorative work to repair that revetment, replace some of the stones, and that's combined with the final closure of the landfill, which was never completed. And so we're on a timetable now where we need to be taking that work and completing the project with an estimate right now of 3.2 million. We need to show some demonstrated action, by this spring. And I think it's 2027 that the work needs to be completed. So this has accelerated to the top of the priority list in terms of something we need to be doing. And again, it's a combination of landfill work, but the majority is around the revetment and those stones that are being eroded or the sand is being eroded from. There's not a lot of subjectivity to this one. We are under a requirement. We have done the engineering. Those plans have been approved. This is the price tag that goes with it. It's a matter of having the funding in place and then awarding the bid.
Any grant monies for that?
Not likely. If you remember way back when we first did the project, the town had actually applied for and received a CDBG grant for this. Because of the constraints that can come with federal funding on a project like this, we were not able ultimately to accept that grant. And it became more cost effective for us to do this in-house than to meet the federal requirements for performance. So it's unlikely that we would ever secure outside funding. We are having some conversations with the state, particularly in the resiliency corner, about what their parameters are for work like this. So they're open to those conversations. If we can secure outside funding, we certainly will, but it may not be possible.
Do you have any idea of how frequently this kind of work has to be repeated?
Our estimate was always 10 to 15 years, and we're sort of right in that spot. So
Okay.
right on schedule. There is a long-term conversation in the background with statewide resiliency about what, if anything, we can do today to prolong the longevity, and whether that kind of project they may be able to fund, so that we're not just starting back exactly where we are 10 to 15 years from now, but running something concurrent that hopefully extends the life.
Have there been any discussions regarding moving the landfill?
I believe that is cost prohibitive at this point. And we're not talking the transfer station. This is the actual historical landfill.
I'm sorry. Has there been any discussion about moving the transfer station?
No. Even if we did, that wouldn't address these problems. The conversation about operations and layout and improving the transfer station facility are now on hold as this work has taken a priority. So we will come back to that. It probably will not change location, but those types of operational improvements that we were all excited to undertake, at the moment, take a back seat to this.
Just curious, what if you opted to do nothing with the revetment and have plans for relocating the transfer station instead?
Again, those are two separate things. So one does not address the other. The revetment, even on a totally closed landfill, still needs to be addressed.
So Sosha, this is like a pile of crap that got exposed by Mother Nature, and now we have to keep hiding it so it doesn't go into the water, right? It's that
Yes.
whole bluff right down there. And Mother Nature always wins, so we're gonna have to keep spending money every 10 to 15 years to
Wow.
shore it all up.
Okay.
The
Okay.
transfer station is, I think the last, who is it? That came up about moving the transfer station, but that's still gonna leave the pile of crap behind.
Yeah.
I got it now. Thank you.
Thank you for being more direct than I could be.
That's what we have Chris for.
Yeah.
We needed a chuckle anyway.
With the next line down, we are still going to address the transfer station building. We have a quote today for $100,000 to reskin that building, put a new roof cap on, replace the walls that in some places are non-existent. And so we have a little bit of funding in the current year. We need $75,000 to complete that. But the hope would be that if those dollars are approved, we would get that done right at the beginning of the season, and at least make that building weather tight, more secure, and more aesthetic to look at.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic part, so please keep that in mind.
Moving down to recreation, the Ball O'Brien funding for 27 is replacement of some of the playground equipment, not all. But some of the pieces that are really need to be addressed, as well as a re-chipping, essentially.
Mhm.
Any questions before we move to the last page?
No, I don't see any. Okay, page 4.
We have a nice deceptively blank line for building renovation and replacement at the school.
Yep.
As I'm sure you're aware, they are in the process of stage 2 development. Um, they have a timeline that is a target that brings a number forward for financial town meeting. We have also said if it is not going to be a good number, if it is going to be rushed, it is more important to be accurate than to be at that meeting. And if the town needs to hold a special meeting, we will. We really want to bring the right and the best response forward to the voters. So the next month will be telling as to whether we get that at the first meeting in May or whether that meeting comes a little bit later into the summer. The stage 2 needs to be filed with RIDE in the fall. So there is an outside deadline, but again, we don't want to rush just to put a number in front of everyone in May. We want that to be the right number. I would encourage everyone to listen and participate in the school committee and the school building committee meetings. And they are working hard as well to get information out to the public, attend workshops, work sessions, understand what's going on so that we're following the process along the way instead of just getting an end result.
Yeah, go to the meetings, please.
Okay.
When are the meetings?
The last school committee meeting, I asked them to do a multi-pronged approach to getting this out to the public. So I'm gonna see what they come up with,
Okay,
starting in,
that would help.
hopefully by the end of, beginning of March, middle March, we should have some type of schedule.
Do they post things? Do they post invitations on the bid?
Yeah, they did. I mean, they had a series of meetings Civic did a series of meetings about community needs and I know Keith Stover went to all of them and some council members and
They had a big survey out.
not a lot of members of the public, a lot of members from the school community, but we want input. We know what the school community is going to say. We want input from the Block Island community.
Oh, okay.
Like we want input. So, because it's a major project, guys. It's wild.
Okay.
Offer cookies.
Food, yeah, we did.
People.
We did. We offered cookies.
All right.
One
go ahead,
other
Amy.
item at the school, if you've been in the gym lately, it's a little dark. There needs to be a pretty much wholesale replacement of the gym lighting. You say, oh, just change the light bulbs. So those fixtures are obsolete at this point, and so the estimate for wholesale replacement of that lighting is $45,000. The next 2 lines under the resiliency section, those are primarily grant funded in terms of the stage 1 and stage 2 Corn Neck Road projects. Those are both underway, which is exciting. There's not too much in terms of town funding that goes with those, but again, trying to keep some of these other projects front of mind as we're putting a comprehensive capital plan together. The next group moves into transportation, which again is typically outside funding. A lot of this has to do with the state. The first 2, Chapel Street sidewalks and Corn Neck Road sidewalks, those are part of the STIP program, the state transportation program. We would say those are not town priorities. We have a lot more that we'd like to do first. They're also somewhat impractical. If you've looked at particularly Chapel Street and the actual public right of way in the space, but they are part of that program. And so calling them out here, they were in the last dip as well and never got funded or executed. So the likelihood is low. We've had a little bit more traction on what they are calling the state of good repair improvements. This is the $10 million, that's the funded amount, $10 million program for general improvements of state roads on Block Island. They have committed to $2 million a year for the next 5 years. We know that's not going to be enough, but it is a start. That's going to be done through a memorandum of understanding between the town and the state where we contract for the work and the state reimburses us. We're trying to get those contract agreements in place right now. So we're probably 18 to 24 months out from seeing actual work done. But at least the process has kicked off and we're starting on that.
So could I ask a question about that?
Mhm.
So you would have the contract for the funding prior to
The work.
this being granted. Okay. Perfect.
That's why it'll take a while to see the work because we
Yeah.
need to do all this front loading documentation and
Okay.
engineering and approvals to make sure that we will in fact see the reimbursements come through.
I'm really glad to see it's underway. Yeah, thank you.
So
Can I ask
Um,
like what, like state of good repair is just a funny
Yes.
acronym, but,
As opposed to lasting repair.
yeah. So I mean, we obviously have targeted areas. Can you just give me an example? I mean, I know a lot of our roads themselves, the actual need repair, but is there anything else like culvert work or
All of
guardrail
that.
work or all of it?
all of that is on the list, and Mike Shea and Jim are working on that priority list right now to see how they can aggregate the work most effectively. There's no sense surfacing over a road when the culvert underneath has failed.
Right. Okay.
I do know that one of Mike's top priorities is the end of Ocean Ave by Deadeye Dicks.
Yay, that was
And that's likely to coincide with DOT work that they'll be doing on the Ocean Ave Bridge. So that's probably one of the first areas that we'll see material action. But the rest, they're still working out their schedule.
Good. That's good. news.
Okay.
And this is another one where, being able to offload materials would make a difference in the timing and the execution and the cost. If we're reliant on trucking that over, that's a different scenario than if we can bring barges. So,
Okay. Very interesting. Good.
the next one we're still optimistic, but have less progress on, which is the DOT replacement of the highways garage. We have pretty frequent conversations, but not a commitment in hand yet for when that work will be done or that it will be done. The current estimate is somewhere between 5 and 7 million for that facility. We're putting in 10 just to call it what it is. But again, we're still having ongoing conversations about that. And then the last line there, townwide road improvement program. We have had success participating in a state program called Road Restore, where the state funds 33% of a project on a town road. So we've done that. We've used that to do a lot of the aprons. We've used that to do Old Town Road, Connecticut Ave in that area. And so we had 2 separate $1 million bonding authorities that we've used to match the town's share of those programs. It is likely that that program is going to continue, so the request would be to aggregate a $3 million authorization that we could then draw down on to provide our match. Hopefully it'll last 3 years, it might last 5. We don't know exactly what the funding level is going to be each year, but in order to continue to support that ongoing maintenance of town roads. Honestly, I don't want to say we're running out of projects, but we've done quite a bit, certainly a lot more than the state has, but we don't want to leave money on the table, and it's been working well for us. So that's what that program is, continuing the work on town roads.
Questions for Amy on any of the pages?
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, I had one general question. What is the cutoff in dollar amount that determines which budget an item goes into, meaning operating versus capital?
It's a combination. It's a combination of a dollar threshold, which is 25,000, and useful life, which is typically about 5 years. So you really want to think about things that fit into both of those categories.
Thank you.
Yep. And then in the very bottom there, you can see that breakdown of where the total budget funding might come from. So what will carry forward into the budget that you'll see at financial town meeting will be much closer to the 844. It won't be exactly that. We'll have to balance the budget somehow, but that's the scale of what you'll see within the operating and capital budget. And you may see borrowing questions, the bond financed up to 22.3 million. And right now that includes the fire barn, it includes the townwide roads, it includes the West Beach revetment, and it will need to include the school. So there's a lot there on our long-term bond financed list, and that will be a big part of our conversation in the budget workshops.
And then what about the fire department? The 15 million?
And so that 15 million is in that number, the 22.3.
Oh,
But again, we're sort of waiting on what the final number will be. 15 is a
Okay.
placeholder.
okay. Thank you.
Amy, it's Maddie. So I'm kind of new here.
Sure.
My question is a little bit self-serving because of that. I just want to get a better understanding. But you mentioned that one of the top priorities is the revetment and the final closure of the landfill, that the revetment will most likely have to happen every 10 to 15 years. But I just want to clarify the final closure of the landfill, that's something that only has to happen once?
Yes. That should have happened 20 years ago, but yes.
Okay.
But we're still closing out the documentation for that original landfill closure.
Okay. And then my next question is, I'm not super familiar with different revetment processes. So are there different ways to go about doing something like that? Or is there just one way to do that?
It's a fair question. There's been a limit to what CRMC will accept in terms of solutions. And so given what we have in place now, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of opportunity to be more creative, if you will. They're pretty fixed about what they'll accept. At the same time, we have tried to be creative on the other side in terms of deployment in order to minimize those costs. Those are giant rocks that we bring in either by ferry or by barge, truck over from Old Harbor to West Beach, and then have to place. One of the things we would love to do would be to place those by barge directly from the West Beach area. We have not been able to get their approval to do things like that. So I'm not sure whether you're asking about the solution or the implementation, but we've tried and have not had a lot of traction with the agencies.
I was talking about the implementation, so how to go about doing something like that, and if there are different ways that offer like different level of successes, and maybe certain ways that offer a delayed type of repetition of having to do it again.
And that's where I'm hopeful. Through the early part of this process, the state didn't have a resiliency office. Now that they do, and they are understanding this project a little bit better, they, like I said, are sort of unable to weigh in too much on what we have to implement right now because that's already been permitted, but they are open to looking at and possibly doing some of the legwork on what the solution is that we could deploy alongside. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but how can we prolong it from day one instead of just knowing we're going to be back here? So I do expect some technical assistance and possibly funding from the state in thinking through what else we can be doing in addition to prolong the life in the next round.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just at the end on page 4, Amy, on the right column under town-wide road improvement program, you list Gracie's Cove. Is that Gracie's Cove Road financial year 26?
Yeah, so the current year project, which will be deployed in the spring, will be stripping, milling, and then not paving, but with the faux milled asphalt shavings, resurfacing the first 1,000 feet of Gracie's Cove. So from west side in.
Yep.
And so that project will be happening in the spring.
And I'm
And
not
do
sure
we
if
ha-
this is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No.
I don't know if this is the venue for this, but why is that? I'm curious as to why Gracie's Cove is in need of this project. I mean, I live on the road and I don't recognize it as one of our bad roads or, yeah, well, for lack of a better
Yes.
word.
Certainly not on the worst list.
Mm,
But as we're working through that worst of the worst in terms of Beacon Hill having been addressed last year, it's now moving down into those areas that are still hard to maintain, take a lot of manual effort to
mm.
keep the way they are, in terms of being navigable. And so that's where Gracie's was next, as we work down the priority list. The next round of conversation about what the fiscal year 27 priorities will be coming up shortly, probably in March in front of the council. So, if there are thoughts and opinions about what needs to be done or what shouldn't be done, that's the time to be weighing in.
Okay. And these are being taken care of because they're under the town's purview versus West Side Road, Ocean Ave, Beach Ave? Okay.
Kunamis, yeah,
Right.
Spring
Okay.
Street.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, other questions?
Yeah, just one question on that same area. Amy, how do we, if we do, have any kind of voice locally in terms of road design and trim with the DOT managing roads? I just think of little things like what we saw at, Painted Rock, for example, that redo there. And then also, I'm interested in knowing more about, and maybe this isn't the time to ask, as I drove through, and I understand the road needs so much work so frequently. I get that, Beacon Hill, but it made me think, ooh, is somebody going to go so fast on this road? Are we going to get signs next and speed limit signs and speed bumps on that road? Or is it just going to be paved with that mix that you called that faux asphalt, mix? And we won't see speed limit signs and a yellow line down the middle of Beacon Hill and any of that, traditional state road design trim on the road. I don't know what that's called. Forgive me, I'm ignorant in that department.
I understand the question you're asking, and your examples are all town roads, including Painted Rock. And so we try to follow traditional
Mm.
local design. Obviously, that particular one wasn't a great example, and everyone made their voices known, which is fine. But I wouldn't expect them to deviate too much. Yes, there have been some concerns about speeding, and so the solution was to actually move some of the moped signs and move the speed limit signs so that they were more informative. I don't think we want more signs.
No.
And I don't think you'll see Mike Shea supporting putting a yellow line down the middle. And that is the upside at the end of the day of the town managing the state road deployments. We'll have a lot more on the ground input into how things get executed.
Oh, that's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah. I can't promise there won't be hiccups, but yeah.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Okay, and last chance, any other questions? Well, thank you very much, Amy. Appreciate it. This was very comprehensive and very informative. So thank you very much for doing this for us.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I will now make a motion to approve the proposed capital improvement budget for 2027 as it is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Second.
Okay, any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you appreciate the time. Okay, number 3, zoning ordinance amendment, review and act on the zoning ordinance regarding the town council, recommendation to the town council, including the finding of consistency with the comprehensive plan and its cannabis. And I think, is Karen the one going to do this for us, or Peter?
Can do it.
Karen, wonderful. Thank you, Karen. I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, happy to be here. So as you know, at the last meeting, I provided you with a very high level, very preliminary draft of a cannabis ordinance for the town. And there were some great questions raised. And I thought maybe I would just kind of go through the answers to those questions. And then we could talk about any other changes or things you want to see in the ordinance. And then my hope is that to take all that back and give you something by way of a more substantial, more finalized draft for next month that you can either choose to continue to reconsider or maybe even vote on. Does that work?
Yes,
Okay.
that's great. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So as you know, after the last meeting, we circulated a copy of Rhode Island General Law 2128.11, which is the Rhode Island Cannabis Act, just so you have it. Peter and I certainly are available to run that research for you if you have any questions, but sometimes I think it's a good idea to have it if you have some time to look through it, that might be helpful. So if it was, great. If it's not, no big deal. Peter and I are here for that reason as well. So getting to the questions, one of the questions that was asked was about drive-throughs. And no, absolutely, drive-throughs are prohibited already, so there's no issues with that. Another question that came up was as to delivery, and this ended up being a bit of an interesting answer. So basically, there are restrictions on delivery already in the cannabis regulations. And basically what they say is that although a town cannot overtly restrict all delivery, you can restrict certain aspects. So while a retail establishment would be able to deliver their product, a retail establishment cannot act as a delivery hub. They have to have some sort of a retail sales use going on, not just a delivery hub. They also cannot contract with a third-party delivery service. So it all has to be the same retailer business that's doing both the sale and the delivery. You can't hire, Uber or DoorDash or some other delivery service to do it for you. So I can add that language to the ordinance so that that is restricting what delivery services are available for this kind of a use. The other question that came up during the discussion was about restricting the number of locations. And this is an interesting question because my reading and then my associate, I also had her run it down and we came up with different conclusions. Mine a little bit more risky, hers less so. So I did call, I had a great conversation with counsel for the Cannabis Commission. And only in Rhode Island, we found out that potentially we are cousins somehow. So again, only in Rhode Island could that happen, but she was great and a great resource. So what we came up with is that there is no case law that talks about restricting on locations. However, it's just not clear and everything is still so new that we don't know what a lot of things are going to happen as some of the ordinances in cities and towns do get challenged. So it's kind of just such a new space. So so my advice to you on that is just be aware of that. This is a new space. So you have to be mindful about what kind of policy decisions you want to make now in the ordinance. If you want to take a hard line on limiting the number of establishments, just so everybody hears it, again, the way the law is set up, there are different zones in the state. You're in zone 6, and that is all the coastal southern zones. there are 4 licenses total that can be approved by the state to be located in all of Zone 6. So of all the cities and towns in Zone 6, which you are a part, there are 4 possibilities for locations there. To limit to one, I will admit, I do think it's possible under the way the law is written. However, that has not been tested. And I will tell you that that's a bit of a, how do I put it? It would be an aggressive approach if you wanted to take it. The other thing that I've come to learn is that some cities and towns have taken the approach to say that one location can't be, they can't be so close together. So what one towns have done is said, okay, if we have a location in one area, another location can't be within so many miles, or whatever the distance is. So that's also something to think about. Block Island is unique, given that it is an island. It is rather small in size, and you also have a very small area in which this type of commercial use would be allowed. So you could restrict the number, not intentionally, but merely by saying, we don't want multiple locations on top of each other. You've got to space them out. So that would reduce the number by virtue of doing that. And that is allowed. So that's, yep.
I'm confused by I thought I heard that there are only 4 licenses allowed in Zone 6 or 4
Per town.
Is it 4 per town or 4 per zone?
Yeah.
It's per zone. So it's 24 total for the state. There are 6 zones.
And
There
how
are
many?
4 per zone.
So and how many other towns are in our zone?
Hold on, I can pull it
There's
up.
more towns than there are licenses.
Okay, so
Yes.
then why would we even need to limit? The max we could get would be 4 if we applied for them all prior to anybody else in any of these other towns in our zone.
You wouldn't apply for them. So
I don't
But you're
mean me.
right.
I mean, I don't mean us, the planning board. I mean anyone in our town.
yeah, or potentially more likely someone from outside of the town. But yes, putting that aside, you do not have to limit. This came up because of the very broad draft that I provided. This was a
Gotcha.
policy question that is completely up to you.
Okay.
If you don't want to limit to one, you don't have to. That was just a starting point of the conversation, which led to
understand.
the discussion about, well, how does that work? Can we limit? Do we want to limit?
In
You
the
do
worst
not
case
have to.
scenario, our town would be 4 licenses could be applied for here and given or granted because no other towns in our zone applied. So that worst case scenario, we'd have 4.
Likely,
Right.
but possible. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I like
What's your
it.
definition of worse?
I just needed to understand the concept.
Absolutely. So the next question that we talked about was transportation on ferries and planes. So the bottom line here, and I did plug in Attorney Salitro, solicitor for the council, and we came out in the same page, which is that it's really not up to the town to do anything. It's really on the licensee. So if someone does get a license to operate a retail or cannabis establishment on New Shoreham, it's going to be up to them to figure out how to transport it. My conversation with the state cannabis commission lawyer, also very informative in the sense that they do recognize that Block Island is unique, sitting as an island in federal waters. So the fact that this is still a federally regulated Schedule 1 narcotic means that transportation over ways, planes, which are regulated by FAA, ferry, which is also federally regulated, would be a potential issue. It's not something that they really have any guidance on at this point, but I did confirm my suspicion, which is that the town doesn't need to do anything right now about that. That right now, the burden would be on the applicant, the licensee, the retailer to figure that out. If that changes, certainly we would find out that the town would have to do something. But right now, there's nothing that you need to do to worry about that.
So, and I don't know if anybody's aware, but you can, what's the difference between bringing or shipping things like THC drinks, Delta 9 drinks, things that have THC or Delta 9 or derivatives thereof from cannabis or hemp in it, like that happens now. There's establishments out here that have licenses. I'm one of them to sell beverages that have cannabis or cannabis, like derivatives from them. I don't know. It's just weird. Like there's not a problem there, but there would be with this.
Maybe because the beverage license?
The
Allows
separate license. Yeah.
Would-
I think that the confusion is coming, as we all know, is that the federal government is still regulating and it's a Schedule 1 narcotic, but they're choosing not to enforce it. So it's creating, especially in this situation, a little bit of an unknown as to how to do it. If you get a retailer license here on your showroom, yeah, how do you get your product there? I don't know the answer to that question, and
I can
I
tell you
don't-
the states, like they're when they released or when they opened up applications for I don't know what it's even under. It's under the Cannabis Authority that the state has now, and it's a license. They couldn't figure out, or they didn't know whether or not to. Let me just put it this way. All you needed was a license. All you needed to present was a retail sales license. So you could be a clothing shop and apply for one of these licenses and get it.
Okay.
It's
Um,
not through yours.
It's not through a liquor license,
Beverage or
like,
liquor
and the
license.
concern was that this, like, the access to this would be for beverages anyway, was through, like, they basically realized they made a mistake. They closed the licenses down and now they're trying to hash out whether it has to be attached to a liquor license and not a sales license, because you can sell it at a grocery store and the person behind the counter doesn't necessarily know, isn't tip certified. You like the kid has to be 18. They don't know any of that. So I think you're right. The state doesn't know what it's getting itself into yet. Is my point.
No, they're treading very lightly and very carefully. It does sound like they want to get it right. But it's a bit like, building the plane while you're flying it. It's just they're kind of figuring it out as these situations come up. So, yeah, I was glad that I was able to open up that line of communication with them so that if we do have any questions going forward, we have that contact.
Because
Karen,
would they
those,
perceive one of those licenses that Chris was referring to as one of these licenses?
Well, no, I mean, these
Okay.
are, I don't know for sure, I haven't seen it, but it sounds like that's a different
Look it up.
license. It doesn't sound like it's a cannabis establishment license. It sounds like something else. Peter,
Mhm.
do you know anything about that type of license?
No, those four licenses you mentioned, those are, one of them's like a social equity. Is that right?
Those
I'm
are
actually trying
separate.
to look it up.
So there's four kind of standard licenses. There's one social equity, maybe,
There is yep.
and
Oh,
then
yes.
What would it be under?
what
I think
about
that's a separate subset.
what about a hybrid for like growing and selling?
The hybrid is mostly for medical and recreational.
Oh, sorry. What do we know about growing for cannabis sales? Is that part of a cannabis retail license or is it a separate license?
Yeah, cannabis establishments. I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
So actually, great segue.
right.
So the question came up: does this open you up? Does this discussion, this ordinance, the vote that the town took, open you up to cannabis cultivator? And the answer is it does. The way that the vote was, the ballot question that passed was worded. It followed the state law definition, which includes not only the question that passed, but the definition of cannabis establishment includes cultivation, manufacturer, among other things, and retail sale. So what we're doing here will affect both the retail side and also the grow cultivator side. Now, that said, My understanding, because I raised this concern as well with the state, and the response, I think, was a smart one, which is that the grow centers that they're seeing are primarily limited to urban centers. And the reason is because of the massive amount of energy and water that is needed to sustain one of these grow facilities. So it was the state's position that it would be unlikely that a cultivator would pick New Shoreham because of those energy and water requirements.
Is there any cultivating licensing requirement?
Well, the cannabis cultivator falls under cannabis establishment. So you would get a license for it as a cannabis establishment, and the definition includes cultivator.
So one of those 4 licenses you would need.
Mhm.
Okay.
What if someone was applying just to be a cultivator? Is there such a thing to?
Yes, so
Okay.
there are, you would go in and you would ask for one of the 4 licenses, and you'd have to identify under which one of those things listed as under cannabis establishment that you're looking to do. Are you looking to do retail? Are you looking to do cultivation, manufacture, lab testing? You have to spell all that out.
Mhm.
Anything else on that one?
But so I guess we could zone the 2 differently though, if we chose. Or all 4 of those we could zone differently.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that there are hemp-derived consumable CBD retailer license holders out here now. Probably 8 that, and I'll full disclosure, like I'm like one of my businesses is one of them, and it's just weird because this is all done through the cannabis licensing portal and
Not the town.
not the town.
Mhm.
So there's another layer here that we have. I mean, I think everybody should know that those licenses
Mhm.
exist on the island already.
Okay, I did not know that.
I didn't know
Um,
it either.
And I don't want to throw a wrench in it, but that's like these licenses are it. What's that? Yeah. But the state had the licensing open for, and then they realized some of the mistakes they made, not being restrictive as to who can get one.
Mhm.
So they closed the licensing. But right now, I think all the establishments that have them out here are restaurants with liquor licenses.
And they didn't revoke yours.
No, they can't revoke it actually. Unless they just get rid of all of them.
And what is it? It's not to sell it. It's just is for alcohol.
It's just a retail license for hemp-derived consumable CBD.
So it's not alcohol.
It's
Oh, just CBD.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
THC.
I think it sounds like that would be a different animal because
It doesn't have THC in it.
what this ordinance seeks to regulate is, and it's any facility licensed by the state as a cannabis cultivator, testing lab, product manufacturer, cannabis retailer, hybrid cannabis retailer, or any other type of licensed cannabis related business.
So is this semantics, cannabis versus hemp, or is this like?
Yes.
I think it's an important discussion, but it sounds
Because-
like it sounds like to me that there's a differentiation. And if you're
Yes.
saying that the licensing
Because at the
for that type of entity is changing,
THC. Like saying.
I think one had, like, you could go get a massage and you can get,
Right.
they have massage oils that have,
CBD.
hemp,
Yep,
CBD,
no, I
but
understand.
not with THC in it. So I think there's a difference, but
Well, the state definition says hemp is not included in the definition of cannabis or marijuana.
thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
okay, there you go.
There it is.
All right. Good to know.
There was another question on whether there's more tax revenue if more than one location is allowed. Yes. Retail sales of adult use cannabis are subject to a local excise tax equal to 3% of each sale. So more establishments would equal more taxable sales.
Mhm.
But
think
again, we're
that's-
limited, there's a limit to those, correct? I keep
Say
going
that again,
back
I
to
missed that.
There's even more stores is greater taxation for our particular area, but we're still limited to the 4 overall in our zone. Correct?
Correct. And remember, I mean, even if you say, we'll take all 4, it's still gonna be up to the state to decide. They hold the ultimate authority on that.
Okay, so someone who were to apply for 4 here, the state they'd have to apply with the state, and wouldn't the state grant those if no one else had applied for them?
In any of the other towns.
I don't know. That would be up to, that is
Okay.
squarely within the
lottery-
state.
And I
But
think
for-
there's an ongoing application right now, and I think there's more applications for this zone than there are spots available.
Okay.
But
I
I
don't know
also,
that for certain.
I was also told that there are no current applications for New Shoreham.
Okay.
Can I ask another dumb question?
The only reason I'm harping on this, just one sec, Mary, is
Sure.
that I'm just to get us to that bottom line of whether we want to restrict number of
Yeah.
licenses or not. Is
Yeah.
That's an
really the bottom
important
line.
question. It
Okay.
is an important question that deserves a lot of good thought. Yes.
I'm still stuck on the district. Are you saying in district, whatever you called it, 6,
Yep.
that includes other towns, not just Block Island? So
Yes.
in that entire district, including other towns, is that entire district limited to 4, or each district
Yes.
within the district? I mean, each town within a district. So
Oh, no. So what they did was they
Each-
took the state of Rhode Island, all 39 cities and towns, divided
Yep.
them up into 6 different zones.
zones.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So some cities and towns, I think they might have gone like north to south or something, but so zone 1 includes cities and towns. Zone 2, and then you get down to zone 6, and there's a bunch of cities and towns in zone 6. There are 4 licenses that can be granted for each zone. So each of the 6 zones can have up to a maximum of 4 licenses for a total of 24 licenses across the entire state.
Okay, and what Peter said is there are no one's applied for anything from Block Island. Is that right? Is that what you said, Peter?
I said that, yes. I
Yeah.
spoke
That's
with,
what
when I
Karen
spoke with the
said.
state, they do not have any currently. That could change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Currently, there are no applications for New Shoreham.
So what if they're already spoken for in that 6th district?
What's that?
Why am I
That
so
we don't-
dense?
that we don't get one.
Yeah, once that zone hits
Once
4,
the 4,
there's no more.
they're gone.
Okay, got it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Karen, just one more question about that. So is a license then attached to the licensee or is it attached to an establishment? So if an LLC has a license, are they able to open multiple establishments with that license?
No, yeah, but they would have to
So that's it, like,
they
give
still
you an
are,
example.
they're still, just because it's an LLC doesn't mean they get more than one location in a town. They can't, you know what I mean? They can't take up all 4 and put them all the same place.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
but
Like they have to,
question's different.
But maybe,
Oh.
yeah, are you
Yeah, I
asking
mean-
liquor license?
Right. So are you able to use that license to literally have multiple buildings or multiple establishments that you
No.
can then sell out of?
no.
And what about if you know, because this is all part of town licensing also. Is it like a liquor license where you have to have the location? You can't just
Yeah.
apply for the license and own it and float around until you have your location.
No, when you apply, you have to apply for a location.
And then once you say you lose that location, are we putting the parameters on it like a liquor license that it's good for a year while you relocate?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look. I can find out the answer. That's going to be a state level question.
That's a
I'll
state.
find that out.
Because
Someone can change the location after they apply or have the license.
You'd have to go back through the state to get.
You don't lose your lottery winnings, but you do you go back to the state to change your location.
Okay, thank you.
And I have the map of the zones on the screen here.
Oh, thanks.
I
So
don't
in
know
our
how
zone,
great this
there-
is, but
there's a chance
is-
that, go ahead, Peter, sorry.
this is from the Cannabis Commission. I don't know if it's the most current map, but it gives you a sense of the different zones.
Red hot. So Peter, in that zone 6, again, I don't know why I'm so thick on this. We might not be able to have any licenses at all if they're already spoken for in that zone.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
What criteria did the state use to determine which zone is which? From my perspective, there's not an equal distribution in population, so what is their motivation here?
Good question. Who knows?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that one.
I don't either. Yeah, okay. Okay,
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the application, it's pretty,
okay.
it's not like anybody can just jump into it.
Yeah. it
Correct.
doesn't sound like
It's
it.
a
Yeah.
pretty robust application. You gotta show a lot.
Okay.
Or prove a
Since
lot.
we're running a little close on time here, let's go move on, since I think the chances of our getting more than one application out here is slim to none.
I mean, I think one is fine, but I mean,
We don't have to.
I'm not
restrict
even
it.
sure we get one.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Tell you the
it's,
truth.
Might
I
be.
am more concerned about locating where the store can be located and where it cannot be. I do not want it, for example, near a school. For example, I would think that we probably would not want it near recreation facilities, where kids are involved, beaches, that kind of thing. And I know we have a map that Peter has done for us. So I do want to spend some time making sure that we regulate where the store could be located and where it cannot be located.
Yeah, and I had brought that up last meeting with the zones. I think we had too many zones for it. I thought it should just be Old Harbor Commercial, New Harbor Commercial, Service Commercial. And we didn't mention plan unit development, and really, they shouldn't be there either, because there's a plan development in New Harbor, which could be a zone to be applied for, but it's a residential complex. So we don't want to, I don't think we want to run into that difficulty making a decision should it come up.
Well
So
said.
if we could just have the New Harbor, Old Harbor and Service, if everyone agrees, that would be my.
I would be.
I'm not even sure you want it in New Harbor. And then I think in Old Harbor, parking is a problem.
say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure you want it in New Harbor. I don't know that area the best, but it's, it's kind of a mix of open space and town recreation area, with all the marine activity. And then in the Old Harbor, there's very limited parking. So I definitely thought Service Commercial was a good spot for it, but
I wouldn't be opposed to service commercial. My problem with Old Harbor is that we do have churches and other recreational facilities, like the parks downtown and so forth. So I have a problem okaying it for Old Harbor.
But it can't be within the 200 feet. She had it on the list. Kind of,
Buffer
it was
zones.
kind of like she had buffer zones, kind of like the liquor license.
Right, so
200
you're
feet
saying
from-
only to allow it to just service commercial and not the other zones, correct?
I
Is
would
that what
go,
you're suggesting?
yeah, just service commercial.
So just so, hold on. Okay,
I don't-
just so I'm clear, we're gonna put a no for all zones except service commercial, which is gonna be by special use permit. Is that
Yes,
Yeah.
what you think? Okay.
yeah. People
right.
can think about that and check, because we can always think about this over the next month of it. I do have concerns about having it in Old Harbor and New Harbor, where we have a lot of recreational areas where you have lots of children. We've got the churches, there are some recreational facilities and so forth. So
The-
service commercial would be okay, I think. though,
the
I don't see a
potential
problem.
recreation activities we flagged in that zone are the Historic Society, and then there's a beach down at the western edge of that zone.
In service commercial, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Historical Society is sort of isolated on its street up there. So I don't know that that would really be too much of a problem. And that, yes, you're right about the beach, but we've got beach everywhere.
Right.
We're a little, I was trying to pick beaches where families congregated, let me put it that way.
Is any beach?
What beach is in service commercial?
By, the kittens.
Oh, does service commercial go past the Kittens and the beachhead?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know where it ends.
I have the map if you want to.
I think that's Old Harbor.
I'll send you a link to the zoning.
Okay.
maps for next time.
Yeah, we won't have to get hung up on it now. We can take
Yeah.
a look at it
And- yeah.
next month. and
Because
see what-
your buffers were good. I thought the buffer language in it was good.
Okay. Any other concerns that we want to make sure they address in the draft for next month?
Oh, yeah, just one quick question. Maddie's asking, the draft from 113, Karen, you have taken all of our comments from that meeting and made another draft, correct? Did we get that? Did you?
I did. I have not circulated anything.
Oh,
though.
I was
okay,
gonna say,
okay.
We don't have it yet.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to be sure that that happened, that we do have, you're going to have an update to the 113 draft.
Yep, after this
All our
meeting, I'll take
questions from last month.
everything and
Yeah.
I'll send that over to Jen,
Awesome,
probably
thank you.
tomorrow.
Great, thanks. Yes.
So I was being generous when I called it a beach.
Oh.
It is town land on Harbor Pond.
Okay. All right, that's okay.
So,
I was wondering.
That's all right. That we do. Okay, last chance. Anything else we want to make sure that Karen highlights when she does the draft?
I just want to make a point, like I understand eliminating or like the desire to eliminate Old Harbor, New Harbor, just service commercial, but then when you add in the service commercial and the 200-foot buffer, you eliminate the majority of service commercial, at least one side of the street. And then you have places in Old Harbor like Dodge Street, which that's all commercial. It's not affected by any church, K through 12 school, childcare facility. The public library is the only thing over there, right? So
Well, you've got all the parks.
So I guess my point is just by virtue of buffer,
Mhm.
I mean, why not just say there's no license? Like we don't have, like if unless there's, we're doing we're going a roundabout way by saying, like, or either that or just identify exactly the areas that can have the license
By street.
by plat and lot, taking in consideration buffers and just identify those.
You know,
Right.
that it's a really good point because the town voted that we could allow the license. And if we're going to structure our buffer language to the effect that no one can get a license, are we then not abiding by regulation or voter commitment?
You are, yeah. State law says that you can't do that. You can't overregulate to a point that it's impossible to have a license here. So I
How
think.
about we move on
Yes.
and I send you a map of what, like, service commercial, and you're talking Old Harbor or New Harbor?
Old Harbor, we could look at.
Old Harbor, you do have the
Of these parts
churches,
of it.
right? So that'll eliminate some. And then you can just so you have the visual. I think it's really hard to
Yes. I
Yes,
agree.
yeah.
talk about it without seeing the
buffer.
service commercial and how many properties are located in the service
Right.
commercial, and then
If we're looking at those, is there a reason why not to look at New Harbor? Just because? why
sure,
not?
I'll send
We
you.
can look at New Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Moving on.
I think
Okay.
it's great if we offer New Harbor, if there's no parking available, so no commercial establishment want to invest.
Okay. Okay.
So that we can.
Okay, anything else before we move on?
Before someone applies.
Okay. Then Karen, unless you have any other questions, I think we will move on to the next item since we're running a little short on time at this
Thank
point.
you.
Thank you very much for the work you've done on this. This is something that most of us did not know anything about. So your research is very, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's a learning curve for me as well. So bear with me as I
We're
wrap
all
it
in the
up.
same boat.
Contacts.
We are.
Okay. Number 4, zoning ordinance amendment, review and act on the amendment to zoning ordinance section 113, conformance. Recommendation to the town council, including a finding of consistency with the comprehensive plan for sections 113 and section 401. Okay,
So we had
Peter?
a discussion about this last meeting. I apologize, I've already forgotten the new member's name.
Maddie?
Maddie. She may not be familiar with that discussion. So I will just kind of briefly recap that. And that is there was a Rhode Island Supreme Court decision last year looking for zoning ordinances to clarify about the exact procedure for non-conforming uses and structures. So that idea being that when you create a zoning ordinance or amendment thereto, certain or existing uses and buildings are grandfathered in. And so they are allowed to continue to operate within certain confines into the future, and that there be a process to adjust those non-conforming uses and structures without bringing them into full compliance with the current zoning ordinance. So that is what section 113 of New Shoreham's zoning ordinance does. And amendments to that section were prepared. They were discussed last month, so I sent out an updated draft with some track changes based on that discussion. And there is a new proposed subsection 401D, which would be the specific and objective special use permit criteria for relocation of a non-conforming use.
Thank you.
Good. Are there any questions before I go ahead and make a motion to,
On
yeah,
on your January 5th? On your February 5th memorandum? Are there any questions on that?
Is that the one you're talking about?
Is that
I'm
the
talking
one-
about the one that he sent out. It was for January 5th.
Okay.
Yes.
And the non-conformance looks like this. It's got the
Yeah.
red.
Section 113.
Section 113. And we talked about this the last several months. So this was,
And we do have applications waiting
we need to get this through.
to
I think
continue on in the process. So
this was,
I just had a couple of things.
okay, go ahead.
On page, thanks for this, by the way, you're on, it's not paid, it's not numbered, but page 2. I think you used the word development twice there on the first sentence at the top of the page. Limit future development, non-conforming development.
I think we're looking at the ordinance.
We're not looking.
Yeah,
at-
we're with you.
We're not looking, I mean, yes,
The other
definitely
is that-
read Libra Planner's report
Yeah.
because that gives you
What we're looking
the
at.
background,
is
but
the-
you're looking at the language.
In the ordinance?
in the
Yes,
ordinance.
so it
And
looks
it's all-
like
It's done for you. in
that,
red.
and we're gonna send it to the town council.
Okay.
So if you agree with it, then you're gonna make a motion that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan
Yeah, I have.
and to forward it to the town council.
Anything else before I make a motion?
No.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and make a motion to send to the town council the recommended amendments to zoning ordinance section 113, nonconformance, so that nonconforming uses may be contained but shall not be increased or changed to any other use other than conforming use unless a special use permit or a variance or a use variance is obtained from either the planning board or the zoning board. And the findings that go with that are: number 1, the proposed changes are consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, by increasing clarity in the zoning ordinance, the town can be more efficiently regulate non-conforming structures and uses within state established law and limit future development, non-conforming development. And number 3, increased clarity will promote more efficient approval during the special use permit process or the use variance process. Anything else you want to add to that?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Good. Any further questions? Last chance.
Okay, I just have one question. and
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going back to the memorandum from February 5th. But just a really quick question. In your memorandum, Peter, I think it was section, the last page of your notes. So just a quick question, how do you describe, using structures will also ensure that vegetated buffers do not harm any valuable scenic views? And my question is really simple. How do we know what those valuable scenic views are? Do we have some kind of a scenic map?
Could you tell me what row you're,
Views?
what row you're in? Is it 2B? And then a letter?
Yeah, it's 2BL. Yeah, 2BL.
We're not to be.
That's
Or not to be L.
Yeah.
You could, just a curious question, like how
Yeah.
do we know what those are, valuable scenic views?
since I haven't included that in the findings, it really doesn't matter.
Okay,
Since we're running a little short on
I can
time.
ask that question some other time.
Yeah, it's still a good question because
You go.
I don't think we have it, but it's not in the motion, so therefore.
That's for trivia night, Peter.
It's not.
Yeah, that's from our discussion last month. Remember
Yeah.
about the landscape buffer?
Yeah,
So
it
we
just
revised the language to
Okay.
get rid of the 6 feet.
Good point, though.
Landscape
In my
buffer.
mind as to like, how do we know that? All right,
Okay, since it's not.
carry on.
Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Here's the motion that I made. Which makes it easier. Okay. Number 5, zoning ordinance amendment, zoning appendix B, use categories allowed by zoning districts. And this was a section for Peter to kind of walk us through very quickly. It's highlighted there.
Is this the table that you sent out,
No.
Jen?
No, this is an amendment for just updating the appendix B use table.
Okay. Did Peter have a chance to see this or not?
I think Jen sent it to me last week.
Okay,
So this is, I think it's just cleanup because what happened is the town kept changing the uses in the article for the different districts, but never updated the table. So now the table's out of sync with the actual text of the ordinance and it's becoming an issue. So the hope is that the table will be updated to
So maybe just take a look at it
Yeah.
and we can talk about it next month.
yeah, I have a couple of
Just
questions.
make sure that if you don't see anything that
Can we get the table? I didn't.
yeah, I emailed it and I put it in your box, but I can send it again.
Why don't we put with districts, because I have several things that, but for example, I want to make sure that there are rooms or apartments for employees in public utility districts. So I'd like to really,
That we currently have. This isn't a list of potential use.
yeah, but if you say it's not, that you can't have it, then you can't discuss it.
No, we're not adding uses unless they're already in the zoning ordinance. We're making sure it's consistent with the text.
Okay,
So it's not a list to create new, it's just.
yeah, but if
For
you
consistency.
think you want to have something
Clean
in
it
it, and you're saying no, that it's not permitted, then we might want to talk about that.
No, if it's not,
And
okay.
so clearly we're not on the same page here.
No, so this is a table, so it's just a brief summary showing what is in the text of the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
So we've made so many changes to the text, we want to make sure this list, which is like a quick sheet, you just, okay, here's a graph, and you can look at it and. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so you're not adding any new anything new to this table unless it's represented in the text.
mhm,
Right.
okay.
There's nothing new here.
But because we could look at it 20 times and see something that,
I'm sure we could.
I don't know, if you think of, if we adopted cannabis, then maybe that would be in there, or we did, a couple other I mean, I've been through it and so just take a look at it for next month and
Okay.
see if anything jumps out at you.
Okay,
And it is definitely not something that you're adding to unless you see something that we have added that is not on the list.
okay, I'll go back and look at it again.
But nothing new
Gotcha.
and no changing anything in the zones.
Yeah, one of the things we should look at is mixed use,
Oh, okay.
because some of that should be consistent. Okay, any other questions? We'll put that on for March. Okay, election of officers.
Kev,
I
you're it.
will, open up the election process.
Yes.
For,
Margie.
somebody to make a nomination for, chair of the planning
Nominate
board.
Margie Cummings as chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Nope, skip, no question, no discussion.
Thank you very much. I nominate Gail for vice chair.
Second.
Okay.
No
All those in
discussion.
favor, say aye. Motion carried. You now have a chairman and a vice chairman.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you have 2 sets of minutes to take a look at, guys? The first one is,
Yeah, I forgot to ask you, sorry.
I did. I did it
Like, you know-
beforehand while you were. I got her. I got her. I got her. I wouldn't have done that to her without checking. Well, maybe I would have, but probably not.
That's right.
Okay, we have a couple of drafts. One is for Wednesday, January 14th, and one is for Tuesday, January 20th. Let's take the January 14th one first, which is the minutes from the meeting.
Is that the one where you're discussing map 1, 2, and 3? For some reason I have the date of that.
Pardon?
Is that the one where you're discussing map 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Area map, or 1, yeah.
The one with HGC, that's the area map.
Right, thank
1,
you.
2, and 3. I tried to separate them.
Yeah, that was
So that-
smart. Yeah, that's.
Okay,
That was good.
yes.
Just in area 1, Jen, do you want to say the fire number? Because you referred to as Spring House property, just for future.
Yeah,
Is that helpful? And then on map area 3, Old Town Road area, the last sentence you say where do stop? Maybe you want to say where to stop?
Okay. So what paragraph?
Map area 3,
Map
Um,
area. Okay.
3 Old Town Road, and that's the last statement you made. The question was raised that you could argue that all Old Town Road should be in the historic district, but then where do stop?
Yeah.
Instead of where to stop. Where do stop me?
Please.
And down under in German, it should read fire. There were 5 of us, not 4.
Okay, I heard.
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal at all.
Yeah. She doesn't count those. I've caught her on that before.
Yeah, no, she, because we have to do them for planning and HGC, so
Okay,
I was like.
all right. Any questions on the January 14th one with minutes from the meeting? I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved.
Second.
Kososha seconds. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I make a motion for the meeting on Tuesday, January 20th that we held with the Historic District Commission. Yeah, make the motion that the minutes be approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Good. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned. Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for hanging in there. We're a little longer than normal, Maddie, but that's, you know, way it happens sometimes.
I had no idea we could have gone on